The Kansas City Chiefs have their new left tackle, Jaylen Moore, to the Kansas City Chiefs. Former 49ers left tackle, played a little bit for him last year. Let's break it all down. Breaking news team here on KC Sports Network. I'm Tucker Franklin, joined by Maddie Lane. Chiefs signing former 49ers left tackle Jaylen Moore to a 2-year deal worth $30 million. It's a $15 million annual average value. What a day it's been, Maddie, already, as Twitter is not cooperating with us. We are only live on YouTube right now. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us. Make sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe button. We're going to break it all down for you. But Maddie, how you doing?
We're doing all right. The Chiefs need a left tackle. They went out and they got maybe a left tackle to come in and play, and they did it early on in free agency, which is good. I think, it's probably better to get, when you're dealing with the position group that's going to get real thin real fast in free agency, it's probably a good idea to jump on this early rather than wait deep into the cycle or deeper into the cycle and really get going back and forth. So they get on this early, they slide in, they have a guy that can now slide in as the quote unquote starter at left tackle, and, see how the ball rolls out there on week one.
Twitter is still down for me. I did just see Adam Schefter tweet out. I had to actually turn on a TV, Maddie, to find out news information. That's how I found this move happened. I turned on ESPN2 to watch the free agency special. And as soon as I turned it on, Adam Schefter reported that Jaylen Moore will be a Kansas City Chief for 2 years, $3 million. I believe he just tweeted out it's about $21 million guaranteed in this contract as well when it comes up to it. So it's pretty high guarantee for Jaylen Moore, as well as the Chiefs do. The plan is to have them as their left tackle. That will be the plan, to have him as the left tackle. They're not paying him swing tackle money, right? Like, this isn't some dude to come in and compete. Maddie, thoughts on Moore as a player? Well, I know that he's fairly young. He's been behind Trent Williams for 4 years. This is his 4th year in the league. So he's been behind Trent Williams for a little bit. Thoughts on Moore as a player?
Yeah. So he's 27, right? So he doesn't have a ton of game experience, but he's not the youngest guy out there. He's still 27 or about to turn 27 years old. He's been backing up Trent Williams for the past, 3-4 years for San Francisco, which means he has got playing time for them, right? He has played every single season because Trent Williams misses a couple games. And when he's gone out there, I think statistically he's been pretty effective. He doesn't give up a ton of pressures, doesn't give up a ton of sacks. I think he's generally a pretty good run blocker, but man, you can't tweet it out right now. But if I, limit this to just pass, when I go back and just watch him in pass protection, I just don't see a lot that translates to what the Chiefs do. It's all quick sets. It's all straight flat angle sets, getting on top of edge rushers really quickly and not really having to block for very long or very far up the arc. And I think the times where he has to, he kind of looks like a guard playing tackle. And this is, he was a guy that coming into the NFL, people had projected as a guard because he's not the most fleet of foot guy. He's a little bit shorter armed with just barely over 33-inch arms. So he's got a little bit of that tweener size. And I think when you see him actually have to deal against speed and length, that stuff shows up as a pass protector. And San Francisco, with the Kyle Shanahan offense, protects you from that a whole lot with all of the play action, with all of the quick passing. So I'm just interested, I guess, as soon as we can in preseason or in training camp, just to see how he looks at an actual passing first offense, because I don't think we've seen that at all from him through, his time in the NFL.
Well, it's really interesting, Maddie. Going back to this morning, we saw the reports. I believe it was Jordan Schultz came out and said, hey, Dan Moore's market is skyrocketing. It's getting high. It's getting out there. I wonder if the Chiefs might have priced out of that market for Dan Moore when it comes down to it. And I know the upside for Jaylen Moore, I think there's a lot of things that you can see on tape that there's some upside there for Jaylen Moore as well. Obviously, being behind Trent Williams is going to be a big, basically getting to learn from him is going to be a big draw for the Chiefs as well. But you're right. That Shanahan offense isn't an offense that, is universally played. Right. So it's there's very specific things when it comes to that offense with Jaylen Moore and some pieces that we could see with him come through, but only a 2-year deal $30 million, 21 of it guaranteed, according to Adam Schefter on ESPN. We're breaking that down here. Let us know in the comment section what you guys feel about it as the live chat here as we are rolling through here. I'm curious your thoughts on the number, the contract number, Matt. I know that there's a lot of different varying opinions on how much the Chiefs are going to spend. They are still, and we've had this conversation yesterday, they're over the cap. Like they are now comfortably over the cap when it comes to it. We probably expect that Patrick Mahomes restructure to come down fairly soon, but it's weird though, Matt, because it's never really happened this late. Like usually you get that Mahomes restructure kind of early in the offseason.
Yeah, we are definitely waiting for like the Chiefs in-house domino here to pop in, right? Like we were waiting for something of the Chiefs to happen so that way they free up a little bit of money because they're over the cap. They don't have currently the amount. Now, you got a couple options, right? Is Trey Smith's contract about to be announced right before they have to be cap compliant, like a long-term deal? So that way that lowers his cap hit from year one. Is Patrick Mahomes restructure coming? Is Kelsey got some kind of restructure coming down the pipeline? So like they do have options. And I think that's what we're seeing by the way that they are spending money right now or like signing these contracts or agreeing to deals, I guess is what you have to say during legal tampering period, right? So we'll see what the next move is. You have to assume that one is coming from them. And I mean, like with this, the good news is with this, I think the Chiefs still have holes, especially like on the defensive side now, but they've now kind of shored up the offense. The offense can kind of throw the goal out there and play right now, right? Like they will now have the entire offense is covered. They have starters kind of locked in at every position. They probably have some key rotational guys. So like they have their offense that can go play in week one right now. And I think that is a big thing for Rep Veach going into drafts. So we'll have to see what kind of space they have for moves left on that defensive side of the ball,
I think that's going to be a very interesting thing to note. And Maddie, last night we did see Trey Smith sign that franchise tag. I don't know what you kind of took away from that. He did end up signing the franchise tag. I don't know what the date that they have to be signed. I should look that up. But he did sign the tag. I don't know if I know we kind of talked about it in the group chat a little bit. Like, should we do a breaking news team? What does it mean? Should we do something about this? Ultimately did not, but I thought that was an interesting move because that is now going to hit the draft. That is going to hit the cap. If obviously he can sign a deal whenever he wants, but as of now, that 1 year deal is going to go against that cap number. But you make a good point, Maddie. I think about the offensive side of the ball. Like there's not, I mean, see in the chat, running back could be one of them, right? That you could argue could be a position that you kind of need a little bit more at, which, I would agree. You still got the draft before you got to roll the ball out there and play, though. So I think that they'll probably land one there. But in a very defensive draft, they have holes on their defense. I think they're in a good spot in terms of roster construction wise. Now, Maddie, I'm curious where you kind of think where you lay on this. We'll be joined by more people here as we start rolling. I've already heard from both Nate Taylor and Joshua Briscoe there. We'll be on here in a couple of minutes. Yeah, so we're going to get some color, if you want to call it that. But I'm curious where you think about this now in terms of the left tackle position. Would you still be opposed to maybe signing a DJ Humphries, maybe bringing maybe Donovan Smith or somebody else like a veteran swing tackle into the mix to see if they can kind of mix it up and compete for that left tackle spot?
Boy, yes, I would like to based on the play of the player, but I think if you're paying somebody $15 million, I don't know if you can bring in competition for that. I mean, you're now flirting with a high enough money that like that guy kind of has to play or be given a chance to play. I don't know if you can pay somebody that much money to be a backup offensive tackle. That's a little bit much. I know the cap's going up, but like now you run into locker room politics. You run into scenarios at which like either he should feel upset he's not playing or a starter should feel upset that he's a backup making that much money. It's like, I don't know. It gets a little dicey at this point, I think, to bring back, especially a veteran like Donovan Smith or DJ Humphries, if they want to start, if they think they can still start in the NFL and like enter a true competition. Like for $15 million, you kind of are the starter. Like I don't think it's up for grabs. I think you just paid him to be your starting left tackle. He has to still earn it. So you want to make sure he beats out a Wanya Morris or whatever, but I don't know if you can sign in another veteran to really come compete with him and then risk him losing that competition.
In case you're just joining us, appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on YouTube. As Twitter is down at the start of free agency, the Chiefs signed Jaylen Moore to a 2-year, $30 million deal with about $21 million in fully guaranteed money. Very interesting in terms of the contract structure there for Jaylen Moore. we'll see more as more details start to come in. We'll see if Twitter will come back up. I don't know. I keep seeing notifications pop up, but every time I click on them, Maddie, they don't load. So really good day for Blue Sky. Yeah, well, I mean, we're fighting. And there's a ton of like news actually happening here as well as too. Jordan Schultz is saying 22 million fully guaranteed. I think that's probably a rounding up thing. But it looks like the Chiefs will have a new blindside protector for Patrick Mahomes, Jaylen Moore, a guy that was with the 49ers, went to Western Michigan University. Look, Maddie, they're collecting guys from Western Michigan.
They're collecting Moores from Western Michigan.
Moores from Western Michigan, yes. They are collecting guys with Mike Caliendo signing his tender early on in this week, which people were upset about. He went to Western Michigan
these guys
as well.
Probably played together.
You know what? They probably did. And I pulled up Jaylen Moore's Wikipedia page just so I could give you guys a little bit of a bio blast right on the guy. Like you guys got to know some new information about him. 2-star recruit by 24/7, coming out of high school, committed to Western Michigan, and was actually a tight end in high school and then converted to an offensive lineman in college. Very interesting to note there with him. He was drafted by the Niners with the 155th pick in the 4th round of the 2021 NFL draft. He signed his 4-year rookie contract on May 13th, 2021. As a rookie, he appeared in 7 games and started 3. In the 2022 season, he appeared in all 17 games in the 49ers' 3 postseason games. He made 2 starts in week 5 and 6. In 2023 season, he appeared in 16 regular season games and made 2 starts in week 7 and 8. And on December 25th, 2024, Christmas, Moore was placed on the injured reserve. Nothing about this year. And in terms of Jaylen Moore on his Wikipedia page. But that's the bio blast for Jaylen Moore. And we're going to bring on a guy who doesn't need a bio blast here, Maddie. This guy doesn't need a bio blast. It's Joshua Briscoe of Only Weird Games, KC Sports Network. Josh, how are you doing? How are you feeling that the Chiefs made a move at a normal hour?
Yeah.
All right, that's Joshua Briscoe with the KC Sports Network breaking news team. Josh, I'm gonna need you to come back, and I'm gonna need.
Yeah, I'm back. It's only the two of you guys. I don't want to leave you two hanging. You've been carrying this weight for a while already. I'm here. I'm here for you.
I'm gonna need you to give me a little bit more than that. I know that
more breaking news.
That's what I thought. I was just trying to get it to work, but Twitter's broken.
Yeah, everything's broken. So like, I don't want to spill it yet. We might have before in the next couple minutes. We might have more breaking news of a Chiefs signing. So. We're just going to wait this one out. This is a tease. This is what we call a tease. The chat's already on top of it. It sounds like Elijah Mitchell, the also ex-San Francisco 49er, is going to the Kansas City Chiefs. So Chiefs are just loading up on, players that they beat in the Super Bowl.
People gave a lot of crap to all the teams that kept hiring head coaches who simply knew Sean McVay. Now the Chiefs' strategy for fixing their offensive line is for just hiring a guy who knows Trent Williams. Fix the running back room. He knows Christian McCaffrey.
That's a great point.
Maybe the Chiefs are doubling down. Maybe they said, hey, we don't think Shanny and McVay are all that good. We're going to take all their players and make them better.
They're underutilizing their tackles and running backs in San Francisco. We're going to bring them to life.
Things that everyone's often thought is that tackles and running backs are being underutilized by Kyle Shanahan.
That's the bet the Chiefs are making.
Well, I gotta change some stuff in the title for this show now. Don't mind me. So you guys can just kind of keep talking, but I'm gonna mute myself. You guys get after it with the Elijah Mitchell deal. You know what, Josh? Give us your thoughts on Jaylen Moore as the Chiefs get another Moore from Western Michigan, and and then we can dive into Elijah Mitchell.
I was going to make a Sky Moore joke and everything, but I completely blanked on the Western Michigan connection. That's wild. Yeah, this may just turn into like I'm not necessarily signing up for every moment of this, but I think Tucker is. This might just be like a 3-hour breaking news team where the title just keeps changing because it feels like it's going to be one of those days. I got to say I'm lukewarm, and in large part, my lukewarmness may be coming from the expert film review of one Matthew Lane and sort of the lukewarmness that comes with the Chiefs finding a quote answer at left tackle from like the high end clearance section. That's kind of the thing that leaves me a little conflicted at this point. And it was a question I was going to turn back to you guys, and I don't know if you've already answered this or not, Maddie, but I'm curious as to what your answer would be. Is the Chiefs' offensive line today on March 10th better than it was the day of the Super Bowl? And I think that I don't want to even force us to think about the way it was utilized for the Super Bowl. Maybe it's just, is it better now than it was at its best last season? And that's the question that I don't feel as comfortable answering. I think Kingsley at guard is a gamble I'm willing to buy. I think you believe in his capabilities on the interior. You put a high value pick into him. I'm cool with that. Even though trading Joe Thuney is obviously a big decision. You're paying Trey Smith, so he's going to be the same player, hopefully a little bit better as his career goes on, but basically the same player at a much higher price tag. Juwan Taylor, same player. And now you're swapping out the Wanya Morris, DJ Humphries sort of experience at left tackle with Jaylen Moore, who presumably, it's $15 million a year, right? Was that the AAV we had seen? Or we don't, is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
At $15 million a year, I don't think you can say that he's coming in to compete with, maybe you want to bring back DJ Humphries anyway, but if you're paying $15 million a year to your swing tackle, you've done something terribly wrong. So I think this is the Chiefs' solution at left tackle. Kingsley's a solution at left guard. The other three spots are the same. I guess I'm curious as to how much better this configuration is, if it's better at all. You traded away a Hall of Famer and you added kind of a mid-market left tackle at a more important position, but still. Are they better right now, Maddie? Is that front five better than it was with DJ Humphries and Joe Thuney?
Okay. The best the Chiefs offensive line played last year once Joe Thuney kicked out to tackle. It's the best they played once he kicked out the tackle. It probably the Houston game got kind of rough with the Bills game. The Bills game was pretty good, right?
Yeah.
I would say that offensive line is probably better than this one currently is right now, only because Joe Thuney at left tackle for those moments before it was an issue. When it wasn't an issue for Joe Thuney, the offensive line looked fine. It was my dogs are now yelling about the signing too. It was Joe Thuney at left tackle was working out when it was working out. I kind of feel like Jaylen Moore is the same type of player. I mean, honestly, I said the first thing I said when I watched him, and Tucker can attest this, he looks like a guard, like Joe Thuney, trying to play tackle. He resists the way he moves reminds me of a guard like Thuney trying to play tackle. I just don't think he's as physically talented or skilled as Joe Thuney. So there's a chance you take a step back at left tackle, and not a guarantee, but a chance you take a step back at your left tackle play. And then to the next point, it's not that Caliendo was good at left guard, but we know what the floor is. We don't really know what the floor of Kingsley is at left guard yet. So I don't know. Maybe it's about the same, maybe a little bit worse. It really feels like they just traded in the same level of offensive line for a younger model that maybe has more upside, though. I will say that there's maybe more upside because maybe Jaylen Moore, maybe it's not that he can't vertical set. Maybe it's just that Kyle Shanahan never asked. Maybe it's not that he only plays like a guard playing tackle because that's what he does. Maybe that's all that was asked of him in San Francisco. So it's unfair to say that's all he physically can do. It's just that's all we've seen. That's all that's been seen so far. So to me, it's kind of like the same. Maybe there's a little bit more upside though. And they're probably a better run blocking unit now. Joe Thuney struggles as a run blocker at left tackle. Caliendo was pretty poor as a run blocker. I would assume Kingsley, that's one of his strengths as a run blocker, especially moving forward. I think that Jaylen Moore is a decent run blocker, if anything else. So they probably got better as a run blocking unit.
The one thing that you said in there that did give me just like the gif of the dog with the cupcakes and the war flashbacks, the idea that maybe the Chiefs are just the right team to unlock this young tackle's ceiling of potential does seem like a bad bet, just given how the young tackle development has gone in recent years. That's not even like a vote of no confidence in Andy Heck or in Andy Reid. It's just that the results on that have been really, really poor, where you can like get a young tackle in there to patch up for a little while. Wanya Morris did that as a rookie and as a second-year player for stretches, not consistently. Doing that for a couple of stretches, patchwork Band-Aid stuff, the Chiefs have gotten good results out of Band-Aids for a while. Out of developing a slightly younger left tackle who might be able to do a little more than he did at his last stop, I would need someone to make a pretty convincing argument as to why I would expect that to happen. Or Dr. Ozzy in the chat's right, where he says the Chiefs can't develop tackles they drafted. You get someone else's draft picks, maybe that's the way to go.
No, yeah, good point. It is true. This isn't somebody this is not somebody that they drafted. This is somebody that has proven themselves at the NFL level before coming over. And I think want to say this is a big part of it too. I think a lot of us, myself included, are like, hey, they probably want a longer armed offensive tackle. It's a bigger bodied guy because that's what they have drafted every single time under Andy Heck and Andy Reid in Kansas City. Well, when they have signed free agents, they've had a little bit more wiggle room in that. And Jaylen Moore falls into that wiggle room of being not quite as long as the other offensive tackles the Chiefs have preferred. Like his arms are barely over 33 inches compared to their preferred 34. So maybe there is something that they saw on tape that they're like, oh, we can definitely make this guy work. And there is absolutely 100%, obviously, a chance that they are able to not even develop him, but just take him, drop him into their system and get a different level of player or a different type of player than what we saw in San Francisco that I don't think meshes well with what they do. So I almost feel like it's just like a wait and see with him. I think they paid a pretty penny for a guy that on paper does not fit their scheme like at all, but we will have to see. They obviously liked him, and it sounded like the NFL as a whole was kind of buying in that he had some upside that, maybe the 49ers didn't see going forward.
I'll also add this before we give it back to you, Tucker. He is about a month younger than Jawan Taylor.
Oh, interesting.
So just in terms of like the age and the ceiling, and again, where our head goes when we're thinking about a player with upside, Jawan Taylor feels like a disappointing known quantity at this point on his contract, and he's 27 and 105 days. Jaylen Moore is 27 and 60 days. I mean, they are, for all intents and purposes, those two guys are the same age.
Yep.
Make me feel better, Tucker.
No. I don't. We're gonna be bouncing around by both of these signings here. I want to get to the Elijah Mitchell signing because I do think that's really interesting. Maddie and I were on here talking about like, hey, on paper the offense is like kind of, you can roll the ball out there and play with this offense now. And then someone in the chat, I think it was Chandler, mentioned that like, hey, running back is probably an issue. They signed a running back literally 5 minutes later after that, and now you're looking at this offense like, okay, you got guys you can put out there and play a football game with and feel pretty confident that have played NFL football a little bit more than, where you were in a spot where you didn't really know who the left tackle was going to be. Now they've kind of I'll say this in air quotes, right? They've shored up their offensive side of the ball a little bit more to a point where you feel more comfortable heading into the draft, a heavy defensive draft, when they think about this. Maddie, I want to get your thoughts on Elijah Mitchell. I know we're shifting gears here kind of, and we're probably going to be bouncing around, right, as guys pop in and out of this here breaking news team. Like, we're going to be popping out in and out of these two signings, but them happening so close together. Appreciate all of us, everyone hanging out with us. Make sure to like and subscribe. We'll be live for anything, all this breaking news. But Maddie, thoughts on Elijah Mitchell coming to the Kansas City Chiefs?
This feels like a team that tried to get J.K. Dobbins last year and it didn't stick. So they found the next fast, often injured running back and got him this season. Now, and I don't say that as a negative. I think it's a fun signing. This is a good signing. He's a good sized running back, 200, a little over 200 pounds, 5'10". He's a fast guy that was a big play threat when he was healthy early in his career for the 49ers. The issue is he has been hurt every year since then, including missing all of last season for the 49ers, who desperately could have used his help because everybody else in that running back room was hurt. So it's a very low risk, mediocre, good reward if he returns to health. So it feels a lot like the J.K. Dobbins signing of last year. Now, I'm not saying he's the same level of player as J.K. Dobbins or anything, but here's a guy that's been often injured that at one point in time was a dynamic running back that produced big plays for a team, the Chiefs, that desperately need big plays from somebody in the running back room. So if he can stay healthy this year, then it makes a lot of sense. He pairs well with Pacheco in terms of just being this dynamic player. And it sounds like the deal's a lot of incentives. So no, we're not crying over any spilled milk here. There's a very responsible, smart way to do a signing of a player at a position that you desperately have a need for.
I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to spotlight this comment from Seamus. I know my reputation precedes me. Josh hates running backs, so don't let him chime in on Mitchell. I'm going to blow the minds of the KCSN viewing community. I like it.
Whoa!
I like it a decent amount. The reporting is worth up to $3.5 million, to for a player that does have his injury concerns, that does have his injury history, that is, we're going to say he's an older running back while we say Moore is a younger left tackle because running backs age differently, right? I think he's 26. Yeah, so slightly younger than both of the Chiefs' new their starting tackles. With that being said, I was blown away beside myself by what the Chiefs did at running back in training camp last year. As they were hitting roster cutdowns, the running back room was genuinely Isaiah Pacheco, who also has had his injury concerns, and then obviously they got bit by that in season, Clyde Edwards-Helaire as running back 2, And then Carson Steele, Deneric Prince, LaMichael Pirine, was he still there around then? Was he in training camp? I can't even remember.
I think he was on the camp roster.
I think he was. The Chiefs running back room was Isaiah Pacheco, a good but oft injured running back. And again, not like a bunch of soft tissue stuff. Dude just gets banged up because he runs aggressive. It's a hard position to play. It was Isaiah Pacheco and the Island of Misfit Toys. And that was even, that is completely aside from Clyde Edwards-Helaire and the PTSD and the stomach issues and all of those things that also kept him off the field, which the Chiefs knew about, like as a thing that they had to manage, right? All that to say, the Chiefs needed to have a little more, and Samaje Perine ended up being that guy. But they didn't have him there in training camp, and so I think this is probably true for all three of us, and for most Chiefs fans who were excited about the signing at the time. Samaje Perine had less of an impact last season than I expected him to. He was impactful in moments, right? You saw it, and you go, well, here comes more Samaje Perine. And he never completely took on that role, even when Pacheco went down and Kareem Hunt became the guy. And I think that probably goes back to him being in Denver instead of being in Kansas City or St. Joe during training camp. So give me Elijah Mitchell and Isaiah Pacheco, and now they can draft a running back in one of those mid-late round kind of windows. If it's the second, third round pick, if it's in fourth or fifth, I'm not going to think about anything before any of that. Anything at or before the Titans' third round pick is a non-negotiation in the Briscoe house. But you can actually now draft for that room, and you can have two relatively known quantity veterans in Pacheco and Mitchell. Obviously, the injury is a concern, but you expect Steele to be back at least in the mix in training camp and as one of your kind of fullbacky extras. And I think they're going to draft somebody who may end up being more exciting, having more juice, and getting more work than Pacheco or Mitchell next year. Like that's in the mix, but the floor is higher than it was all the way until roster cut downs last year. So I'm good with it.
Yeah, I mean, like they filled out the roster, like they're filling out players on the running back depth chart. Like I don't think that Mitchell at this point we can count on being a contributing member to the team.
He could be Ronald Jones.
Right. Yeah. And I don't think the contract says that he has to be for it to be, to be a failure or a success or whatever. Like, obviously, if he does nothing, that's still a failure of a signing, but they're not out so much money that it's not worth that risk. So we'll just have to see what he does. Because, like, even if we look at his first, he had a breakout rookie year for the 49ers where he was very impactful as like a change of pace back for them. And then the injuries caught up. But even when he was playing over the next 2 seasons before missing last year, he was never quite the same guy. And it could be, did the injury zap some of the explosion? Or was it just, the way things were meshing? He was working his way back. It's like he's entirely a question mark. And I have zero qualms with him being on the roster. I have heard, seen some stuff. On the KCSN Discord, I can't say Twitter, the KCSN Discord, a little bit in the comment section here, about him being a third down back. Maybe, but that's never been his game yet. Like he's never been like a significant pass catcher, even if you go back to his time in college. I'm not saying he can't. A lot of players just live in college offenses that don't throw to running backs or tight ends. It is what it is. So like, we'll kind of have to see how he would develop as a third down back, but I don't think that is a significant calling card of his. I think he's more of just a dynamic change of pace runner if he's able to be healthy that goes with Pacheco, who is a dynamic runner sometimes, but it doesn't always show up on the field. So like you kind of like that pairing if he's able to stay healthy, but I'm with Josh. They do need to add somebody. I'm not opposed to drafting an actual running back one earlier in the draft than he is, but like I do think they do need to add another running back to this roster still, even if Elijah Moore is hitting training camp or they think he's going to be healthy right now. I do think they still need somebody above both of those players.
I want to hit a break here real quick. I know we might have some more people hopping up and joining us, so we're going to bounce around for a couple ones. I saw an interesting post on Blue Sky from Matt Miller that I want to talk about. But let's take a break real quick. As we're taking a break, make sure to like and subscribe to the video. See if you can do it before the break's over.
Shop Chiefs tickets and more with no fees. Plus, save big with code KCSN at ticketsforless.com, the official ticket provider of KC Sports Network.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story. Like Bryan Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Bryan Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
I actually think that this is the best thing that could have ever happened for Blue Sky. I think that this happening is the best thing that could have ever happened for the website bsky.app. If you're not there, there's a lot of people there over there now that the Twitter is apparently dead. I have it pulled. I still have the app or like the tab on my computer just like spinning.
Same. Yep.
And just in case it happens. And I can see the notifications pop up on my phone, but I can't click on them and nothing is loading. But the post I wanted to bring up from Matt Miller at NFLDraftScout.bsky.social on Blue Sky, he says no early free agents that will affect the top 10 of the NFL draft yet. Chicago does not feel like an Ashton Jeanty or defensive line landing spot after securing the interior of the offensive line. This last sentence here I think is the most interesting part. Can take the offensive line off the board for the Chiefs in round 1, I think. The signing of obviously Jaylen Moore here and Elijah Mitchell. The Chiefs are kind of shoring up their offensive side of the ball. This is a draft that Brett Veach has said is a very heavy defensive draft. This is a draft that has a lot of good defensive linemen. I think that when you start to look around, you see some pretty good defensive linemen. The Chiefs could have the potential when you start to look at the draft class here. You start to notice, as I'm going to go to the comment section here, I saw a super chat earlier when we started the show from Slammy Sam MH Joe. The draft is filled with guards labeled as tackle. I think that is very true as well. So they're probably in a pretty decent spot when it comes to this draft, not needing a tackle. Primetime Rambo, another. Also, shout out to your super chat. I honestly don't hate. I think he means to say hate, not have. The Moore signing. It's only 2 years, and I don't need him to be a star. He just needs to be average. As we talk about the roster construction here for this team, kind of heading down to free agency starting 44 minutes ago, and the Chiefs already have 2 signings down in the book. Matty, I want to know your what's up?
I just said it's a big day so far. The Chiefs don't usually, they don't usually get going quite this quickly.
I thought you said Josh Uche. I was like, wait.
Oh yeah, that's a player.
God, can you imagine what would that meeting have to be like between Joshua Uche and Brett Veach and presumably Steve Spagnuolo and Joe Coleman? Like, no, Josh. Yeah. If you're here in training camp, we think we have a role for you.
Yeah. Sorry, what's your question, Tuck? I interrupted you.
No, that's okay. And then I started thinking about Josh Uche. So,
I never stop.
Matt, I want to know from a roster building perspective as we're rolling on here on the Breaking News team. Thank you, everyone, hanging out with us. Hit a like and subscribe as we are waiting for more free agent news to pour in. We'll probably end the stream here in about 10-15 minutes. But as we look forward now to the rest of free agency, I want to shift our focus forward. What do you think the Chiefs could be in the market for now, as they have taken probably their 2 biggest needs off the board in the first 45 minutes of free agency?
They still got quite a few holes, I think, to fill in the defensive side of the ball. Right, like the running back, I like adding Elijah Mitchell, but I don't know if I can get running back quite as far up there because they currently have 1 defensive tackle under contract in Chris Jones, and I do think that not only do you need another defensive tackle usually to play a 4-down front. You also need somebody to spell Chris Jones from time to time, so he's not playing all the snaps as he increasingly gets a little bit older and stuff like that. So they still need defensive tackle bodies just to fill the roster. They lost their second best defensive end as of right now, and Charles Omenihu is a free agent. They have not brought him back, nor is he signed with anybody else, so he could still come back. But I do think they still need a defensive end to play across from Karlaftis the majority of the time. We saw good signs from Felix last year of getting a little bit better, but even the Chiefs didn't see him as a high-end rotational player. They still were just using him in spots, so maybe there's still progression to be had there, but I do think they need another defensive end to go across from Karlaftis, and I'm not ready for Jaden Hicks and Brian Cook to be the starting safeties. I don't know about everybody else. Maybe the Chiefs are. Maybe the Chiefs have seen enough there, but I feel like they should be looking for a safety, a veteran that can step into Justin Reed's shoes while Hicks continues to earn more and more reps, and maybe Brian Cook slides back into a third safety role. So I still think they got some defensive needs that will be addressed in free agency, but also maybe that's what you're preparing for the draft.
I'm going to interrupt you, Josh.
You don't need to hear from me. I've talked plenty. I know what's happening. I know what needs to happen now. I know what's in progress.
Here's one guy that we do need to hear from.
Okay, I'll stay.
Thank you for saying. I do appreciate it. Well, this is one guy we do need to hear from. Nate Taylor from The Athletic. Only weird game. I almost said only weird football games, which is kind of true. Nate, how are you feeling about the Chiefs making 2 signings in the span of 45 minutes? Less than that, actually.
Yeah,
I'm rounding up, but
right. I think it honestly was in 10 minutes. It's just the way it gets announced. It takes a little bit of time. Are we good? Are we good? Are we good? Everybody's saying, are we good? Before we push, buttons. But yeah, it's this is something that, as I'm sure you guys have talked about when it comes to Jaylen Moore, just something that's been in the works really since Ronnie Stanley decided to stay in Baltimore. So what you're trying to see now is, okay, I don't know if you guys have talked about the salary cap at all, but like some things need to happen before Wednesday at 11.
Yeah.
Some things really need to happen at 11 on Wednesday. Obviously that is in relation to Trey Smith. So look, hey, there's not a lot of great options, but is this the best that we can do option? And that is what the Chiefs came to the conclusion. With the player that has been an understudy, and what I just wrote in The Athletic, and I don't know, it might be out now, it might not, I don't know. Things are moving really fast, ladies and gentlemen. It's just, hey, you're an understudy to one of the best left tackles in football. Are you ready to now be a leading actor yourself in a completely different drama that has quite the stage on it, because that stage includes Patrick Mahomes, it includes Andy Reid, it includes a team that is trying to stay as close to a championship contender as they can be throughout this elongated window, in their dynasty. So yeah, I appreciate that the Chiefs were willing to make some concessions, but also knowing that, and I think we can say this now publicly. I don't know how much you guys have chatted about this as well, and we've talked about this internally, but for the audience, guys, they were never about to do this again in the draft. Never, ever, 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 ever. Hell no. So they limited themselves in terms of options. The options themselves were limited. This is the solution you come to. And it's basically a 1-year tryout. And if it goes well, holy smokes, the second year is maybe not as high. If Jaylen Moore proves that he is a capable, dependable starting left tackle. We actually got him at a decent price in year 2 if it works out in year 1. But this is a 1-year tryout, and is he ready for the spotlight? That's the real question.
Nate, why is this the 1-year tryout as opposed to going with one of the older guys they're familiar with, DJ Humphries, Donovan Smith? How do they end up on a guy like that Matt's talked about, not really being a scheme fit, not being the type of left tackle that Chiefs have looked to before? How do they decide that this was the option on what is still, like you said, kind of a 1-year tryout, a 2-year solution, hopefully? Mm-hmm. How do they land here on a guy who's the same age as Jawaan Taylor?
Is he younger than both options you just mentioned in DJ Humphrey and Donovan Smith? Is he healthier than DJ Humphries and Donovan Smith?
Presumably.
That is how you come to this solution, in a difficult situation. That's the easiest way I can explain it to people. Now, I don't know Donovan Smith, and I think I maybe have said this somewhere else, but I think Donovan Smith might be Donovan Smith feels more like a post-draft to training camp addition for someone. Yeah. I'm not sure who that is, but he doesn't feel like someone you have to sign right now, given his injury history, given the fact that he took, basically last year off. When it comes to DJ Humphries, I don't know if this necessarily precludes them from not trying to add him back to the roster as a true tryout. But obviously, because by the way, like, this now informs you, ladies and gentlemen, that I know you guys have talked about this, but on the 2 line, right? So on the 1 line, it's Jaylen Moore, Kingsley Suamataia, Creed Humphreys, Trey Smith, and Jawaan Taylor. On the 2 line, this puts you now at Wanya Morris at left tackle and Ethan Driscoll at right tackle with Mike Caliendo. And I got the list here. Tell me the young boys, the
Hunter
boys.
Norzad and CJ Hansen.
And CJ Hansen,
mixing
thank
it
you.
up.
Yes, that is
go.
your 2 line.
Huge.
So, the way some front offices look at this is like, hey, if we had to play a football game in April, could we play a football game in April? Obviously, that's pre-draft. That's kind of where we are right now, where it's like, hey, at least I know the 2 line right now for the Chiefs offensive line. If you want to sign DJ Humphries and make it a competition, you could. But I know DJ is more interested probably in, hey, can I compete for a starting job elsewhere if you've given a guy $15 million per year, and you gotta kick the tires on that.
So something that you said a little bit ago that kind of like it makes me feel a little better about this because we talked about it at the top. That wasn't the Jaylen Moore fit with Kansas City doesn't make a lot of sense to me unless they think there is more potential in how he can play in their scheme versus what he showed. But
Yes.
being from the concept of, hey, this might be, for a lack of a better word, a 1-year Band-Aid to a solution that we don't have any other good options for. And then we are able to get out of it if it's not working. If this plays out the way Matty Lane thinks it does, this guy sitting in a computer chair in an office talking about it, if it plays out like he thinks it does, there is a potential out after 1 year and it doesn't completely wreck anything they do financially in the future. And they are resetting to find their actual long-term left tackle solution. Like thinking of it from that lens does, help a little bit from the aspect of like, okay, they're not locked into this a long time. Like they don't have to run this for 2 years. This is not something they have to extend. It's like they are giving themselves a little bit of a breather and they are getting a player that has played left tackle better than anybody they put out on the field last year. Say maybe like Joe Tooney in the Bills game of the playoffs. Like that's
Correct.
The only left tackle play last year that's probably been comparable to what he's been. So I understand the process of getting there. It's interesting that it seems like his market value spiked this week, but that's because maybe multiple teams saw him in this exact same way. And you can't argue that from the outside.
Yes. Yeah. There's a reason it gets to 15 million, kids. This is the way the business works. And there are so
left
many
tackle Sam Darnold. What you're telling me?
I don't know about that.
No,
that's not fair. I get the sense that yes, I'll just be honest. Dan Moore should go back to Pittsburgh.
Well, it sounds like they're getting Aaron Rodgers. So I mean,
if you ask Aaron Rodgers, there are 31 teams interested.
Right. So the market sometimes plays with itself, and then sometimes the market just informs you what you should be doing. Hey, you should probably go back to the Steelers, man. But hey, what is starting money in the NFL at left tackle? I just want to ask the question here, and then you come to the. I guess it's 15 million. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No. Yeah. That 100% tracks with that because that's. I was more using Dan Moore, and this is what the projected value was for Dan Moore. If you go find any free agency rankings, Dan Moore was projected to be about $15 million. And I would say, yeah, that's probably like the lowest level of a quote unquote reliable starting left tackle would be Dan Moore at $15 million. Now, it sounds like Dan Moore is going to get a good chunk more than that, judging by just the tea leaves right now. And if the NFL thinks that Jaylen Moore has a chance to be a starting offensive tackle in the NFL, 15 million makes sense. It sounds like a lot on the surface, but that makes sense because it's supply and demand. And there's not a lot of supply of starting left tackles in the NFL, especially available right now. And the demand is always going to be higher than the supply. And the Chiefs' demand was through the roof. So like, I 100% follow the process of how we get there. And I hope that maybe this isn't even a sign that Andy Heck is going to be a little bit less stingy. I mean, I doubt it based on, a decade of work, but maybe Andy Heck's going to be a little less stingy in how he wants his tackles to play. Maybe.
Hey, I'll say it out loud. Scheme's got to improve. Coaching staff's got to improve.
Yeah.
So there you go, kids. Guess what? And it's not like I'm going to tie you to another rookie, right? If you're Brett Veach in the front office. So, okay. This guy has proven in a limited appearances that he is not a turnstile. He's not terrible. It's your job as the offensive line coach to get him into our scheme and to make him work and to give him confidence and to be successful and to give trust for Patrick that he knows what's going to happen on a 5 to 7 step drop. That was the biggest thing in much of last season is, okay, if this isn't in shotgun, if there is no pistol, if there's no RPO action, if this is just 5 steps dropping back, ooh, and the defense knows I'm passing it, ooh, buddy, like, here we go. So this is, again, I don't know for certain, and this is why this is a good gamble, because you could see both sides to it. Well, he's been a backup for a reason. Well, it's like, but he also had Trent Williams behind, or he was, behind Trent Williams. So, okay. But also, like, the 49ers, and this is always interesting, the 49ers did want to retain him if they could. It's just he does not fit their plan because they got to play Brock Purdy. and we got to do all this other stuff. So now the 49ers are looking for a swing tackle, right? That used to be Jaylen Moore. Now Jaylen Moore has graduated to a starter.
And they're going to trade for Wanya Morris.
And they're going to see if they can make this work. But yeah, I mean, Andy Heck needs to, Andy Heck, I thought, did a pretty good job with Orlando Brown Jr., sort of maximizing the best of what he had available to his talent. It has not worked since then. It's not Andy Heck's fault that, they were forced to play DJ Humphries when DJ Humphries wasn't fully fit to play football. But now, after the spotlight of Kingsley Suamataia, who you, by the way, need to develop into a pretty good guard, this is a very pivotal season for Andy Heck because they've now given you, again, someone who has shown in limited opportunities that he can play in the NFL. Can we go from that and move up another level so that the offense can go back to being maybe a top 5 unit to where, hey, maybe scoring 30 points isn't some parade.
Miracle.
Yeah. Isn't some parade that you're throwing the next day where it's like, oh, we scored 30. That's amazing. Because an argument can be made that, the defense has been carrying the team for the past 2 years, and asking the defense to do it for 3 straight years is quite a tough task to ask in and of itself. I should have put on a sport jacket, Tucker. I maybe need to hop out and hop back in. But
you have a 3 doors down shirt too.
I just saw that it was 3 doors down under the.
You got to run to the store and get one of them.
So
they keep them in stock.
I went back and I looked because I wanted to throw a good graphic tee on underneath the suit jacket as like a little Easter egg, right? For a little treat for people watching the show. It's like a good. I had a Creed. What was it? Was it the Tooney trade? I was wearing I was wearing a Mizzou shirt for the Tooney trade.
Yeah.
And then I was wearing a Creed shirt
Hollywood,
yesterday
maybe?
for the Nick Bolton one. I think I was wearing So I forgot that was yesterday. That feels like it was 4.5. Also, Xavier Worthy feels like he got arrested last year. I don't know if it feels like that way for you, but like that feels like it was so long ago.
He got arrested last Easter, right?
Easter.
That's what it feels like.
He's got a haircut since.
Yeah, we've definitely made this.
He got a haircut. He got a new hairdo.
Xavier Worthy got arrested, cleared, and a haircut before we did an official KCSN show.
Right?
Like one of the live 2 of ours.
I was on Sunday Sound Off last night, and again, a little tongue-in-cheek joke that I told Curtis Siebold and Matt Derrick was, okay, was it one dread or was it multiple? And then how many dreads does it take you to be like, you know what? This doesn't work anymore. We got to cut it all off.
I do think his hand might have been forced. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's all I was saying is like one dread you could probably but like if it's multiple, okay, what can we do? What can we do?
It looks good. I thought the buzz looked
it's
good.
less iconic. You can't deny that it's less iconic.
Yeah,
like
for
he doesn't have the silhouette anymore, but like listen,
well, I guess Hollywood did the same thing. Hollywood doesn't have it dreads anymore either.
Correct.
I didn't see that Hollywood cut his.
They got haircuts within hours of one another.
Mahomes tightened his up post Super Bowl, and Kelsey shaved the beard post Super Bowl. Like this is
what she does every offseason.
It's a new team.
You gotta groom in February and March, especially after you lose a Super Bowl. You win a Super Bowl, grow that beard out like a hockey player.
Get it off, you know.
That's why I had to look. You gotta clean it up sometimes.
I know we spent a lot of time, obviously, on the Jaylen Moore contract because that's the biggest one that happened with the Elijah. I don't know, Nate, if you have anything on Elijah Mitchell coming to Kansas City. I got a text that said if you can't lose to them, take their best backups in terms of the 49ers. So that's what the Chiefs are doing right now. Is Elijah Mitchell also comes to Kansas City to add a little bit more depth to that running back room that had 3 guys on the roster prior to the signing of Mitchell. It was Isaiah Pacheco, Carson Steele, and Keontae Ingram as well. I think was the number 3. So they add another body. Yes. They add another body to that room. Thoughts on Elijah Mitchell, Nate?
This might spell the end for Samaje Perine. And
salute.
I don't know what's going to happen with Kareem Hunt. I know Chiefs fans are invested in his future. It is clear that Kareem Hunt wants to come back. Who has more juice is what I'm asking the question right now. Does Elijah have more juice than Kareem Hunt?
Yes. Is Elijah Mitchell is he on crutches right now? Because if so, it might be a tight race. But if not, I mean, I don't know. It's been a year since we've seen Elijah Mitchell play. It's like we don't know entirely what he looks at. We don't know what he looks like. I would go out on a limb and say I think he's got a little more juice than Kareem Hunt does, based on what we've seen from Kareem Hunt.
I'm just here to ask the questions.
No, I know. Listen, we're 50 minutes in now. Like the jokes just start to fly out without the filter anymore. So yeah, I mean, I would assume Elijah Mitchell has a little more juice, and I like the fit of him if healthy a little bit. I like Kareem Hunt. I think Kareem Hunt was great for the Chiefs last year. Even when Pacheco was back, I wanted to see more Kareem Hunt and less Pacheco because it just worked a little better. But I think Elijah Mitchell fits a little bit better as a pairing with a healthy Pacheco, because Pacheco, for as fast as he is at the combine, those dynamic plays don't show up a lot on the field, whereas Mitchell, when healthy, has provided them some. So they need a running back. I still think they need a running back 1, but I like Mitchell coming back.
I think Tucker and I might be alerting to the same breaking news. Is yours about the tackle market, Tucker?
Yeah, Dan Moore getting $21 million per year to the Titans.
Tennessee. So Brooke Pryor crediting Schefter on Blue Sky here. 4 years, $82 million, 50 guaranteed for Dan Moore in Tennessee.
50 guaranteed.
Mike Borgonzi, welcome to town, buddy. I don't know.
Wow.
So I'm glad the Chiefs weren't in that race.
That would have been worse, right?
Also,
we're good on that.
Do they have a quarterback?
Yeah, man, Mayo King.
Malik Willis. No, he plays in Green Bay. Sorry, that's my bad.
They can trade for
my bad.
I saw that Malik Willis is going to have a hot trade market, according to presumably Malik Willis's agent or the Packers.
So you're telling me
what if he gets traded to the Titans? I wonder what that would look like, guys.
Great. He got more money than Ronnie Stanley? What is happening?
I mean,
Ronnie Stanley's contract looks better and better every offensive line contract I see.
Oh my God.
Ronnie Stanley should have turned his phone off until 11 o'clock Central today. The Chiefs might have given him 40.
No, they were not going to do that.
That's a 2-year.
The Titans might have given him 40.
Yeah, right.
The Chiefs might have given him 30. The Titans might have given him 40.
This tells you, but this informs you when you are a rebuilding team in free agency. Boy, do you gotta overpay. My Lord,
throw it at him.
The Patriots haven't been able to sign anybody hardly, and they have all the money in the world. Like they nobody.
Robert Spillane.
I said hardly anybody because I knew Robert Spillane was coming through that door any second.
They gave him $12.5 million a year.
Yeah, hold on, Josh, you weren't a great fan of the Bolton signing. Robert Spillane got $13 million per year, so you know that Bolton signing is pretty good now too.
Yeah, not a market I'd be playing with myself in, but is that what Nate said?
Yes,
I'm the market.
I need Andy Heck to be the most excited person in Kansas City. I need Andy Heck to be the market about this Jaylen Moore deal. That's what I need.
That's a great point. Back on the tackles, Nate, I think this is a question kind of directed towards you. Was Charles Cross ever on the table? This is from Hot Water Music here on YouTube.
No. Nope.
Did they ask Seattle? Did they call Seattle?
Oh, I mean, you can always call.
You got to call.
But no. You can always call. There's no issue in calling. Hey, I just saw you guys traded DK to the Steelers when the Steelers don't have a quarterback. Hey, what's up? Okay, all right. Well, just wanted to make a phone call. Just wanted to check in. But no, I don't think Cross was ever a real possibility, especially this weekend when it really did start to percolate that this was going a certain direction, which I informed the gentleman on this screen, and that is what has occurred. Jaylen Moore, kids. Jaylen Moore, most upside, and also not making as much money. Like, this is interesting. Not making as much money as Dan Moore, obviously. Not making as much money as Ronnie Stanley, obviously. And it will be fascinating to see if Jaylen Moore can play at or maybe even slightly above both players, given age, injury history, so on and so forth.
We started this breaking news team, and Maddie and I started this feeling one way about this, but as more tackle contracts come out, we're like, you know what? Maybe they might have did something. Maybe they figured something out.
It's a 1 year prove it deal, and I gotta check over the cap again.
Lot to prove it though. To be fair,
lot to prove.
Yeah.
In terms of left tackle money, guys, $15 million is mid-tier starting money. I mean, you know, and that money's only going to get more insane.
That is true.
Yeah, and finding that guy in free agency compared to re-signing him, like getting a guy that you think can be a starter at average starting left tackle money as the cap goes, like that doesn't happen very often, right? So like the more we see, the deal itself seems better and better. You know, I probably got to slip out whether you guys keep going or not, but my kind of final thought was this is just kind of my only question isn't even with the contract, the player, or anything like that. It's just, I do wonder how he fits in with what the Chiefs do. And if Andy Heck shows up to training camp and is like, hey guys, we're going to get back. We're going to creep set a lot more. We're going to throw out more angle sets. We're going to let you pass protect a little bit more aggressively and jump out and get hands on guys rather than vertical set every single play, because that's all our right tackle ever does. And we're only going to vertical set and we're going to make you play in space. Then I get worried. But if we're going to see the adjustments to Andy Heck, which I mean, I joke about how he hasn't changed a lot, but if you look to earlier in his career when he did have better tackles and Fisher and Schwartz, they mixed it up a little bit more. They allowed them more freedom to do different things. So if we get more freedom, if we get a change, then I definitely think you see a path to where you get an average, if not an average plus starter out of Jaylen Moore here, and the contract looks great. If you have him go out there and play like Jawan Taylor every single snap, I get a little bit more worried. And so like, that's just where my hesitation falls in with it, is I don't know how well he's going to fall into this current scheme. And it's up to Andy Heck and Andy Reid to adjust going forward for their players, which, hey, we've all had complaints about that recently.
Yes. At least he gets to play next to one of the greatest guards of all time, a future
That's
Hall
true,
of Famer,
to help him out.
Kingsley Suamataia.
Hey, Carlton Davis just took all the Patriots' money, $20 million a year for cornerback Carlton Davis. They need to sign Trent McDuffie as
I was about to say. Trent McDuffie.
Signed this man yesterday.
God. Look out, Josh Allen. We got somebody coming for that money every quarter.
By the way, Carlton Davis is not Trent McDuffie, kids. Carlton Davis just made $20 million a year to play for the Patriots, which should have
Horton just get 25?
J.C. Horton's contract.
Yeah, his contract was
25, right?
Bonkers. Yeah.
Bonkers. Insane.
More than Patrick Surtain.
Yes.
I saw that and I said, oh, buddy, that Trent contract is going to hit.
Now, the Patriots might be good on defense because, again, I trust Mike Vrabel, but buddy, Carlton Davis, $20 million. There's a reason why these guys are at free agents, guys. There's usually a reason. So you want to find the positive reasons, like, hey, man, my guy just played under Trent Williams and he never got hurt, and he's 27, healthy, athletic, looks the part as much as we can ask for someone in free agency to look the part, versus, hey man, this guy's been on 3 different teams. You know what we should do? Give him $20 million a year. But also, we're the Patriots, and we've, much like the Titans, have to overpay to get somebody to come to Boston.
I think we should probably wrap up this breaking news team so we can be ready. So this audio can post at least. Yes. So this audio can post and then breathe a little bit before we have to come back and do another breaking news team for when they re-sign Justin Watson. Because
no, I know your joke, Tucker. It's Juju Smith-Schuster, okay? This is where we're going to battle royale. I think it's Juju over Justin Watson.
Josh, who are you taking? I got my money on Kadarius Toney. Who are you going with?
Nicole Hardman, baby.
Oh, imagine.
Bring him home.
Imagine. Actually, I'd actually put real life currency on James Winchester coming back here.
Oh yeah.
He sounds like a Wednesday morning news dump.
Oh yeah, by the way.
You don't have to tamper with James Winchester.
Very respectively, James. I mean that with all due respect. 9 a.m. Wednesday morning.
I would
knows.
like to think. Yeah, I was gonna say. I like to think James would be like, "Yeah,
That's
don't
what the
waste
money is
that
for."
on me." It's like, don't waste that on me. I'll be all right.
Oh,
I like to think he'd be like that. But that's going to do it for this breaking news team. Maddie Lane, Josh Fabrisco, Nate Taylor. We'll be back when more news breaks. That's
What's your name, damn it? Tucker D. Franklin. And the D stands for definitely needs to say his name on these shows so people know who's captaining the breaking news ship.
Yes,
It's
right.
that man
True.
in a suit jacket and a 3 Doors Down t-shirt.
Maybe I'll change my T-shirt before we do another breaking news
You
T-shirt.
should.
That'd be funny. I'll find a stained T-shirt.
Doing it during the breaks, honestly, would be even funnier. Every break is just
And we got the long break now where I could definitely get it. I could definitely get it off.
I come back
the
from
pressures though because
you click the short one by accident, and then we come back and you've got a Tool shirt half on.
he gets a little sweaty and the back's stuck and he can't get it off.
You've got a Tool shirt on. You got one arm through a blazer and one nipple out. And it's like, welcome back to the breaking news team.
Unreal.
Yeah, so I guess that'll do it for the breaking news team. We'll talk to you soon. Make sure to like and subscribe. Be a friend, tell a friend, as Pat McAfee says about KC Sports Network. Chiefs signed Jaylen Moore and Elijah Mitchell. We'll talk to you guys later.
Breaking new clothes change.